Domestic violence is on the rise in Oklahoma, with almost 26,000 offenses recorded by the OSBI in 2018. That's 5.5% more than 2017, when 82 people were killed in domestic violence crimes. Our partners at Oklahoma Watch are producing a series of online reports about this. Reporter Whitney Bryen visited our studios this week to discuss a story she's written that could give new hope for abused women.
In my reporting on domestic violence this year, I've talked to a lot of victims, and most of them are terrified to show up to court for hearings, for victim protection order hearings, for criminal hearings, because they're going to be in the same room as the defendant.
It's anecdotal, but just going back through the records that I keep from going to court, somewhere between 25 and 33% of people end up dropping their VPOs or not showing for court for various reasons.
I started reporting this story because we had found an article from Law 360 about the use of video testimony for victims in VPO cases and emergency protective order cases. So I started calling around to find out who was using it, and what I found is that no one was using it. Tulsa had used it for a while, but no longer was. So in my research, I found this court decision from December of 2018, so just almost a year ago, that basically laid out expanded rules for how to use and when to use video testimony in court. And basically it says you can use it at any point during any court proceeding, civil or criminal, and it's completely up to the judge's discretion. And I started asking, who's doing this? And no one was doing it. And when I asked why, they said, well, we didn't know we could.
I was unaware that that was something that was already out there. Certainly video conferencing is something that we who work, especially in the YWCA with domestic violence victims, and we see the impact of the court system on them, something that we've always talked about, that we wished was a thing, but I was really surprised to hear that that was something that was already available.
And without the victim's cooperation and testimony, it's much more difficult to gather the evidence needed to win. So in those cases, a lot of victims are afraid to testify in court because they don't want to go in front of their alleged abuser and make those allegations. They fear for their lives and for retaliation.
A lot of people either back out because they're afraid or they've been coerced into backing out. They just don't want to go through it.
And every advocate that I spoke with said they thought this was a great idea. Having the option and the ability to allow victims to testify in protective order hearings or even criminal hearings in domestic violence cases, they think is a great idea.
An important story. If you wish to read that report in its entirety, you can do so online at oklahomawatch.org.